Page number 1, yeah? Yes?
Page number 2 in the Hebrew, but I told them...
Hebrew 2. Dala dam varajim bindra nam varajim bangha dharam badam tham jin jim bang baranda jim barajim tham jin do jim bang hanam gadanyam bezim jim tham jin devadan dong he dan dhara nyar dala nam bayang do barazo bezai Rinpoche Thom Baran Dham
Lukol Baalea Toda Arakia Ensfori Maotai Bimiuchad Oivim Asher Tisonim מבקשי רעתי אשר פוגעים בי המפריעים ומכשילים את דרכי לשחרור וידיעה לו ידעו אמושר וישתחררו מסבל לו מהר אביא אותם להערה מושלמת יקרה מוחלטת אשר אין כמותה
Dicendo sangama jejim barandaling ayesung ewalango Mayim barandaling ayesung ewalang Diderin hezong denyam masang dazam jem barandaling ayesung ewalango
לפיכך עד הערה אפעל באופן חיובי בגוף דיבור ותודעה עד מותי אפעל באופן חיובי בגוף דיבור ותודעה מעתה ועד מחר בזמן זה אפעל לחיוב בגוף דיבור ותודעה
Sanje Chodan Sojen Chonam Ha Sanjo Bandun Dane Jazun Dangen Jen Sojen Ben Sonan Jen Dhalan Ben Zarasan Jambara Jehom
Babuddha Badama Basanga Na'ala Ad להערה אקח מקלט בזכות נדיבות ושמידות טובות לו אשיג בודיות לרווחת כולם
Manam Gadanyam Besim Jintam Jindevadan Devajan Dhambarajan Dong Edan Dong Ejan Jadan Ravarajan Dong Hem Ben Devadan Mandavarajan Nyeren Chadan Jadan Ravarajan Dan Hyom Lan Hem Barajan
לו כל בעלי התודעה רקיע אין ספורים אותה ידעו אושר וסיבות לאושר לו השתחררו מסבל ומן הסיבות לסבל לו לא ייפדו אף פעם משמחה שאין בה שמץ סבל לו יהיו שרויים בשוויוניות חופשיים מהיקשרות ומדחייה
Page number 8. Short mandala.
עמוד 9.
Omokecha. Sajem benje sajem belondra hera lenje jemban sanje jengla mendem pravaye dong nam da jende jemba Shung Gazam Yon Zola Mithon Hamla Chenang Azazam De Yin 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 Chu Dali Lon Jun Hazi Yung Yila Labi Geng Edun Zaran Dazon
קרקע נרחבת זו, משוחה במי בשמים וזרועה בפרחים, מאותרת בהר מרו, בארבע יבשות, בשמש, בירח. בהגישי כל זאת כסתה בודה, לו כל בעלי התודעה יזכו באושר שדות התואר. לגורו בעל 3 הקיות, אגיש מנחה חיצונית, פנימית וסודית. את גופי, הוני ואת כל עולם המופעים. אנא הענק לי את הסידי הנעלה שאין למעלה ממנו ההערה. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pratitsa Soha
San Sarvadan Chijin Shambhala Jisa Yaran Guru Jin Survayi Gewa Jung Zindan Gijin Sambha Tham Jin Zambha
אקדיש כל חיוביות אשר צברתי בהשתתחות, וידוי, הגשת מנחה, שמחה באושרו של הזולת, הפצרה ותפילה, למען הערה מושלמת של כל בעלי התודעה.
Om Zam Lan Jian Tham Bian Dong Sun Yong Lan Jia Zin Mian Jiar Wan Dor Jin Chang An Pan Jin Ding Gun Bi Xiao Lan De Tian Dan De Sam Jie Qi Lim Hiu Sin Jie Lo Jin Toi Jin Ning Men Ba San Li Jiang An Sim Zhi Dan De Dong Sin Jie Lo
תכשיט תבל שאין שני לו נותן המחסה, תהילתך נודעת ברחבי 3,000 העולמות, וג'רדרה המנצח ללא עוררין, בכבוד עקוד לרגליך האב ג'יקטן סונגון. בכל רגע אין דבר אחר לחשוב עליו מלבדך, בחמלתך הענק לי את ברכתך, הסר את החשיכה האופפת את ליבי, ברכני שאתוודע לטבע התודעה הנעדרת מורכבות.
Sim Jia Nam Jia Sam Ban Tang An Lo Ye Se Ra Jia Da Wa Jie Chung Te Mong Ten Ba Ye Qu Jian Ho Long Oran Da Zo
אנא, סובב את גלגל הדרמה של 2 המרכבות, הגדולה והקטנה, והתרגולים המשותפים להן, בהתאם לנטיותיהם וליכולתם של כל בעלי התודעה.
Mahamudra, this hero.
עמוד 28. מזמור היווכחות בדרך המחומשת של מהמודרה מאת ג'יקטן סונגון. כל עוד לא גמלה בלבך החלטה להדהיר את סוס האהבה והחמלה על ידי עזרה לזולת, תשועות האלים ובני האדם לא תשמענה בכיכר העיר, לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בתודעה זו המקדימה. כל עוד גופך שלך, מלך הצורות הנשגבות, טרם כבש את כס הבסיס הנצחי, אספת הדקיניות האימהות לא תתקהלנה סביב, לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בגוף, העידם הנשגב. כל עוד שמש המסירות לא זרחה על הר השלג של 4 קיות הגורו, פלגי הברכה לא יזרמו. לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בתודעה זו התמסרות. כל עוד חשרת ענני ההמשגות טרם התפזרה ברקיע התודעה עצמה, הפלנטות והכוכבים של הידיעה כפולת הפנים לא יזהרו בבירות. לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בתודעה חפה ממחשבה. כל עוד לא מרקת באמצעות תפילת שאיפה את אבן החן מגשימת המשאלות של שתי הצבירות, הפרי המיוחל לא יבשיל. לפיכך שנס מותניים ושקוד בהקדשה זו הנקודה הסופית.
Mahamudra, oh, takono, oh, le, oh, ah, oh, to, changa kogo, changa magon. Don't you change the Lana, Babila, Jagambo, Mahamudra, Javadom. Kajula manam lazo de omichi Japan to Sajuku Jomo Ratan Jogan de Sabila Major Lazo de also so long I can Jujin Yatome Majorina Saint on the China Taba Chuji them to Sado so telling to Donna Barade Destination Wogan, Gading a court, Chakang, Dotson, decorated Mokucho Gore. Then Gadi Shiba de Chakang, then I was Hajiba, Roba Chupan Baiba, Chichak with the Chamak in Yamidi and Royore. Royuna and the Lam, Yizaga Kaka so, to Tarana, Nagari, Yori, some, there's obviously Sabatam, some Yore. Te Maiban de Ha Hozon, the Nangba Rozoga, Trumta, Samati, or Langa Jigger Drodo. Tambon Rosa Langa and Menkaka and Langa Jigger Drodo. Tatum everything, top the tick top of those. This our Ha Conatry, they go chitting at the ends of long time singing to them. They don't chip my Trumta was all go yore, Tevinity, that's Archo and Bateries.
So, my Dhamma friends, today I am going to give an introduction to Jigten Sumgön's Vajra verses on the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra. And so, first of all, the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra is something that is not exclusive, a path that is not exclusive to the Drikung Kagyu lineage, but it is practiced in all the different Buddhist traditions, actually. And that it has to be said because a new practitioner might think that there are all different paths, and all of these paths are separate from each other. In each of the lineages you have different paths and so on, but that is actually not the case, and that is what is being shown through the Fivefold Path. It shows that all the Buddhist paths really come down or kind of are included within essentially a single path. And even though we give it different names, there is one path really that we travel on, and there is one fruition to be attained. And to understand that point, that is why the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra is being taught. So we need to know that the Fivefold Path of Mahamudra is not just exclusive to the Drikung Kagyu lineage, but is really actually practiced in all the Buddhist traditions, in all the different lineages. And so that is the reason why these teachings on the Fivefold Path are so precious.
Sanchok Samson, Sanchok Sim Javadri, Deba Sanjay subject, Sanchok Sim Rinpoche, Mambo Sanjay subject, Sanchok Sim, Tata Sanjay subject, Sanchok Sim, Chipo, Tatokotum, Chikri, the Kaiti Chili, Samichi 드니 많이 당스러워 정산 라면다 얘나야 탐치가 드니 산촉 심성고 요 말데 삼시 그 요래 드니 동물스 때나야 드니 이거서 가자 펜티 마창직 나네요 드니 마당 버거를 줘야지 삼지를 드니 마티가 빵을 뽑지 오늘 뽑지 스바치 보여래 가래 때 스바치 보쳐야 될 가래 때 마다 보 삼지를 줘봐라더니 내가 쪽대기 오늘 삼지가 윤진이 봐 대다와 하고는 또 무거거든요 당 삼지지 윤진이 하고는 땡고 또 나말더니 삼지 때 상첩 되면 우리 상첩 소리 사지 봐도 요 말이지.
So the first point on the fivefold path is bodhicitta, and that is really what all the Buddhas of the past have taught. It is really just the precious bodhicitta, and that is what all the Buddhas of the future will teach, and also the present Buddhas teach really just that, the precious bodhicitta. And so all of the different Buddhist traditions really essentially speak of just that in essence. And in fact, it's not just the Buddhist traditions, even non-Buddhist religions, for example, they might not call it bodhicitta, but everyone is speaking of loving kindness, love and compassion. For example, in a family, the love between a mother and a child, there is this connection between them that is because of love. And when the mother has her child on her lap, the child feels happy. And that is because of that bond of love that they share. So even the slightest happiness that we experience is a quality of love. And that is what we first need to understand. And that is really, from that quality of love, that is really where the qualities of the Buddha, of enlightenment, then arise from. So this term Buddhahood or enlightenment is Changchup in Tibetan, so to purify and to fully master, and that all arises from the quality of love. But then the complete state of purification and mastering of Changchup or enlightenment is something that only the Buddha had accomplished.
Then it's shocking, so 산지 추당 견인선도 것은 나바가 짬내리 콘소스 그 짭대 가디 바데 같이 짭고 요들이 대레인이 종데 상첩 바데다를 짭서 제지 디 상첩 체 강례에 되는 다다 마당 버거발라 삼지 충성도 요한디甚至 삼체를 제니 마치 다 인증 로데 로가 사와강제 다지디 로데 자라니 매바찬 쭉 가되면甚至 파마마도 하고는들이 가되는 라면 甚至 신의 죄나마도 다지바 지지 매와 차는 다지디 고접 상첩적 상제 다지디 로데 파상이 다 입신 로데 철철요래 디 마제 파도 철냐나라들이 오 다 진지 로망도가 인fin지 로망도 상고 땅들이 때지나 들이 다 잡고 땅안에 가지는더니甚至 잡지는 지나고 오만 부용도 甚至 잡지도 상 대대로 쳐와도 지나 다 상초고 쳐와지네 들이 은혜들이 삼바체미 봐도 삼바체미 봐지나 들이 甚至 탐색이잖아. 들상 대바들이 고도 사족스도 공고래 산속 받다를 잡듯이 들이 대라 고소서 가르치고 사지 그 람상고데 띠요래 사지게 이 상지 답고자야 사지 좀 뒤마다 셔터가 상지 장보이마 상지 윤띠 하고 말이 상지도 답고자 답고요매 란데 사지 좀 뒤지 란데 답고자네 들고 사축처럼고 문에 당지매가 차네 뒤치그라마 토대요리 되게 사지 되게 고요리 취시바디 다지방에 들이 파상 탑 잠이다 망고 요리 들이 르가가 좁아 파신 쪽 그 상황 조소이나 더발라 탑잡을 망고 요래 대라지를 대사지 추시바지 탑잡을 요래 대외에 추시바지 대고 요래 딜레 좀 제시지 다 당연히 가와는 소들 남들은 봐 탐지 추래 대상 파당지의 파상 탑 이미지 저바 탑들이 추래.
So in the morning we begin with reciting the refuge prayer, and we are taking refuge in our places of refuge, the Buddha, the Dharma and the Sangha. And so then now when we take refuge in the three jewels, then now how until when do we take refuge? It is said that from today onward, until attaining that state of Buddhahood, until then I take refuge in the three jewels. And then for the like how much we take refuge, as in like how we will actually be protected by the three jewels. So we are protected when we give rise to the inner refuge, which is the mind of love. Just like that love that exists between a mother and her child. And that kind of feeling of love then must be developed for all sentient beings. And then in all your activities, whatever you do with body and speech, then there is no more selfish intent at all. It's completely gone. And all there is in your mind all the time is only sentient beings. And you always remember that those sentient beings have been your parents. So then there comes this time when you have perfectly developed this relative bodhicitta. And at this point, all that is in your mind is sentient beings. And you do not think about yourself at all any longer. So that is when we have purified self-clinging, or this selfish intention, the selfish mind. And that is when we have perfectly mastered the altruistic mind. And until that is achieved, we have to engage in practice. And we should look at our own mind to see what is stronger in my mind. Is it really my intent to benefit others, or is it my selfish motivation? So then when you find that at all times I'm always thinking of sentient beings and I'm never thinking about myself, even at night when I wake up from sleeping, instantly I just think of others, when that feeling always remains in your mind, then the relative bodhicitta has arisen in your mind stream. And that feeling of love is immeasurable, and it is for all, for every being. And until that has arisen and always remains in your mind, until that point you have to practice to cultivate the relative bodhicitta. And so when we take refuge until enlightenment in the three jewels. And the reason why we take refuge in the three jewels, first in the Buddha, is because the Buddha has shown us this excellent path. He has shown us that what we need to hold on to is love. And that is something that we can really only know because the Buddha has shown it to us. Otherwise, no one would really understand the quality of love and wouldn't be able to hold on to it. But so through the Buddha and through the path that the Buddha had given us, we learn to do that, to hold on to love and to not let go of it. And then if we keep doing that, self-grasping will just disappear and the mind will attain freedom. And so that is why it is necessary that we take refuge in the Buddha. And then for the Dharma, there are many different methods in the Dharma, and the Dharma is basically a method to purify the mind, to accomplish all of that. And there is different practices, like the conduct of body and speech, mainly of the 6 paramitas, and in the Vajrayana, the offering of the 7 branches and so on. So the teachings on karma, starting the whole path on learning how difficult it is to find the precious human body, and then all the stages of the path that come from there. All of these different stages of the path are the Dharma, and the purpose of the Dharma is to purify this perception of self. And the Dharma is a method to perfect the practice of altruism, the mind of altruism that seeks the benefit of all beings.
rāng sēpirāng rāng sū sēm tsō kōrō tī shirāb tī mīn rā wō sō rē sī nām tō tō tā rā wō sō rē sī tī pē rā kō yō rē sī tā wō nō tā nī yō rē tā kā pō sō nā pō nī yō rē sī tī nā nī tī rē tā kā pō sō kā rē rē yīn pīng lō rē sī lā rī sō tū mā nā sō pā nā jī dzō pō sā jī yīn pīng sēm rē chōng sī tā kā pō sō sāng jī rē sī tā kā sāng jī kā nā tō tī zōng rē nyam tī zōng rā tī chū nē rā nē kā pīng pā tāng tā tū dē wā zōng gu yō rē sī tā nā pō tī dā jī tī ngā lō rē sī dōng ē mā rē dā tēn tō rē zōng sō tā chū tam jī kā tsa wā rā rī sō tū mā rē tī nā sō mā tē yīn pīng kā lō tē yōng tī gē wā rē sī gē wā tā mā gē wā nī shē yōng nā chū tam jī rā gē wā lā pō gē wā sēm tā kā rē sēm gē wā yī kō rē sēm gē wā kā rē sāṃ tē rē sī rāng kī shirāb dī sāṃ tē tā jūn shē mē pā tō nā tā chū sā jē kōng pāng nē kāp tō rī tā tā tō sā jē kōng pāng tō gu yō rē sī tā chū tā kwa dā jī nī ngā lō tē sāng tō nā tā tō rāng kā pā tāng chū mā kā kāng tō kō chā gu yō rē sī tā nyam tī dē tō kō mā rē sī tā chā ngā nā tē tā nē kāp tē tā mā chē nē rā dōng ē tē tā tā tōk tē rē tō nē tē ngā sōng sī rī chū pā tō kō yō mā rē sī tē hā kō nā tā chū sāṃ tā ngī jī tā tē shūng sī sāṃ tā ngī jī nā tō tē shirāb tē nī shirāb kō sāṃ tā ngī jī tā tē tā pō jā gō rē sī tē tā pō jā rū tā rā tē nī nāng sē kū chū sāṃ tē tē tā pō jā nā tē nī rū ngā kū chū pā rā tē mū sō yō gō rē sī tā pā rā tā sā mā tā jī mā sō chōng sō pā tē rā sō pā tā tē tā pō rāng jī kī yōng gō yō rē sī chū chū mā mā rē sī rāng jī yōng gō yō rē sī tē wē tē nī yīn pī jī chū tō sēm rā sāṃ tē yō tē tē nī chū rāng wā kāp nī tē nī rū ngā kā sā wā tā pō yīn pī rō jē mā tē nā tē nī chū rāng tā tō sā jī kōng pāng tē wē tē yōng bō tōp tōp kō mā rē sō
So regarding the different stages of the path of practice, there's a lot of scriptures, many books that you can read, and there's so much commentary on all of that. But the root of all the Dharma is the mind. And that is also what Jigten Sumgön had said. And the Buddha also had said, you have to tame your own mind. And to tame your own mind, first you have to look at your own mind, turning inward. And so here in this first verse by Jigten Sumgön, your own mindfulness, your awareness is like a person, and then your thought, your state of mind is like a horse. So that the person is riding the horse, or your mindfulness is riding the horse of the different states of mind. And so basically there is 2 horses, a white horse and a black horse. And the white horse is the horse of altruism. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, the perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So that altruistic mind of love, this thought, this state of mind of love, is this white horse. and awareness must ride that white horse. And if it rides that white horse, then there will be a temporary benefit and you will achieve ultimate happiness. And then the black horse is the horse of the selfish mind. Again, in the 37 practices, it says, all suffering comes from wishing for one's own happiness. Really, the 37 practices are the root of all Dharma. And so the quality of the altruistic mind, that altruistic mind is what we call virtue. And then everything that's not that is non-virtuous. So what we call Dharma, all the Dharma is virtues because it is based on the altruistic mind. So in order for the mind to be in a virtuous state, you must have love in your heart. And so then if that horse of awareness goes together, rides that, or the person of awareness and rides the horse of love, then temporarily you will always be born in higher realms and ultimately attain enlightenment. And so on the other hand, if you're riding the horse of selfishness, then in the end you will end up alone. You will even separate from your family, even your children, your husbands and wives and so on. No one can stay together with you. So even in this life already you will experience a lot of suffering. And then ultimately also later in future lifetimes you will not be able again to raise yourself out, lift yourself out of the 3 lower realms. So you have to ride the horse of love and compassion. So that state of mind of love and compassion must be sustained with awareness. And now a sign of someone having done that is that someone who has developed love and is also holding on to it, it will also reflect in their activities of body and speech. And that's really essential. Our inner state of mind of love must also be reflected in our activities of body and speech. It must be reflected in our conduct. And so that is where the paramitas come in, of generosity, for example, of ethical discipline, of patience, and so on. These qualities in our outer conduct will naturally arise. And they are not fabricated, but they naturally arise because the mind is in a state of love. And so that's really important because even if there is some love in your heart, if you don't actually engage in practice and engage then in activities, also with body and speech, if you don't seal your activities of body and speech with that altruism, then it will also not be possible to swiftly attain that state of ultimate awakening.
Keren da zorum la soba pe zabgare da mudo ta kare kadi jede sa na jikare taka so na jikare song chol sam te ro yore de yena de mudo ya ko ma cha na mudo chu sa chok sem ji phu lo de jure ma chi na lunga ge le ka chama de yong ti jao na chung che ge dab do yore so mudo de chu sa ba che me ba jure ne ti pu na lunga mgiwa tabjele kiwari jortoko mudo chika sapores sanchok seng mudo do yimpi lo de mudo do mudo sanchok sabres muja sanchok sabje gores tatung rewa sanchok sabre mudo ta muja ta tatung rewa ye lam rewa samje she gore ye yang center go gores lam kari dandi dong go gores Revetri saved Dadi the Tawatian Revetri by your mares. They were only Mudo Sabaret, Mudo Nanitri, Sanchok Savibade, Ha go, Terang Jury Tiva, take each of your reso. Mudo Bataka Sajate, Tabji, Sanchok Samachi, or Chief Tab race, Tab Mamboys.
And so therefore in this verse, on the verse of Bodhicitta, it says then, so therefore you should apply yourself earnestly in the preliminaries. And so also elsewhere, Jigten Sumgön says that to others, the main part practices are more important, but to me the preliminaries are really most profound. So those main part practices, so there are some people who don't really give a lot of importance to the preliminary practices, and they think that other higher practices are much more profound. For example, they say that the deity yoga, the development stage and the completion stage and so on, and these practices are really profound. And the preliminaries you can sort of do on the side a little bit here and there, and and once you have the numbers, then you are done with it, basically. So some people have this kind of view. But actually, unless you have really established a firm foundation of the preliminaries, a true state of altruism will actually not arise. And when that doesn't arise, then even if you have 100 great qualities, let's say, they all are obscured by that single fault. And so then they become useless in a way. On the other hand, if your altruism is really solid in your mind, then whatever you do naturally will become virtues. Just naturally, nothing will be obscured. So that's actually really essential. And so that's the actual preliminary. The actual preliminary practice is bodhicitta, or the altruistic mind, or love and compassion. And that's actually also the main part practice. It is to develop bodhicitta, and it is also the fruition. In the end, we must have developed perfect bodhicitta. So it's the preliminary, it's the main part, and the fruition. Or it's the basis, the path, and the result. The basis is the mind, that mind of bodhicitta. And the path is to destroy that perception of that there is a self. And then the fruition is to completely separate from self-grasping entirely. And so that's it and nothing else. And for this reason, the preliminaries really are so important, so profound. And through that, you really begin to understand the qualities of bodhicitta. And then those qualities arise in your mind. So that's really very important. Much more important than accumulating numbers of the preliminaries. So all of these various practices really are many different methods only to develop bodhicitta.
상지 줄이 요래 대탐식에 남들은 받아 하고는 치를 싸도 요래 남들은 받아 탐식을 레리 레도도 레리를 설명드려 랩고 요래 마도 저게 세력 나서고 협정진 오늘 시송 다자 당이 하고서는 저거 요래 뭐서 나와 사제베 때마다 대라고 말이 당부 고성 이 양도 용지 꼴람 참치지 살로도 용고래 또 어디는 좋다고 근데 대리 저게 말이 되더래 저도면서 고용 또 선마도는 나와 사제베 남의 속투고요 말이 대왜 꼰초선지 사제 좀 받고 주송 받고 띠만내 받고 뒤지세 좀 받고 지신 졸라들이 냠 철긴 리터바 하자 꾸보 차요 봐. 이 이비전으로 꼼봤다고 해서 꼼초서 되겠다 요래. 그때 다다다 그거 뭐 이제야 변 담정이가 갈시 고고 요리 되나? 오 매일 꼼보리들 그 잡을 미망 자송하려고 그랬지야. 미망 자송은 미치라 대화도가 동행도 딱 지었다나 카시를 대화 사이로 주는 게 요래. 카시 동이 치에서 랑시 잡고 요래. 카시 따서 놓더라 미는 미치고 말아 왔어. This song was the Kari Chepari, or Joe Cheparis. Married him with the Yungi Chechonesi. What the Yungi Chechon that leg one gay, Tamu Pama Zambo top, take a chatting Zambo top, take a gigging up or top, take the lily. Margaret Kiachi and didn't war legs, it's over. Later on, some there was a marriage or Tamjon Hikawa and Tamjo Jedi, some of them just think on million think carried out. So carried channel. There, there is Tamjo Jedi. Ha, Kaya maybe Homo Junkie Bangochi and Melida had a Sachi Yas. Well, the Roger dinner, Kogan seemed to Paris, called the me carried out, they were carried out. Ha, Joy Sarit, Rawang without that Joy for some of the three, Tamjon Hikawani, Chamatava, Lady, Tatu, Jumdate, and Joy. Tat took Chico to the Jumdate, but they hako go it.
So then, if you wonder if do we really need the different stages of the preliminaries, so we absolutely need those stages. They are the most supreme method of practice, actually. And so, of course, there is some individuals who just naturally can develop these qualities, and that is because they have already practiced extensively in previous lives. And as a result of that, now in this life, they naturally also come with a greater sense of love. And then they will just naturally understand the different stages of the path, and it will naturally be clear to them. But so the point now is that each step on the path has a certain fruition that has to be accomplished, as a certain there's a purpose for each step on the path, and that purpose must be accomplished. And that is not like studying something worldly, for example, science. Now, if you're doing a course in science, then you go in stages, in steps, and then once you know one step, you can kind of check it off and say, I'm done with that. Now I know that. Next step. But so that doesn't really work in the Buddhist practice. It's not enough to just know something or understand something, but it's also necessary to really experience it and to really apply that in your real life, in all activities, until you realize, which is the third step. And when you realize, then you are completely certain that this is it. And even if anyone tells you otherwise, you would not move from your conviction. You are certain. And so this is how we need to go along the path. It's not enough that we just know something or understand something. And so, so that is why it is said the three jewels, or this entire path, is so rare. The three jewels are rare. It is first of all rare for the Buddha even to appear. And then it is more rare than that for the Buddha to teach the Dharma. And then even more rare for the Dharma to remain. And then even more rare for there to be followers of the Dharma. And then what's extremely rare is to find someone who actually practices the Dharma properly in an authentic way. It's so rare, just like a wish-fulfilling jewel. So that's why we call it the three jewels, or rare and supreme ones. And so we practice the 4 stages of the preliminaries. So there is a purpose for each of those steps. For example, why is it necessary to think about the difficulty of finding a precious human life? So we say, first of all, a precious human life is very rare. And someone who doesn't understand that might just think, how can it be rare? There's already too many people in this world. It doesn't seem to be rare. But then when you look closer at the experience of all those people in the world, their experience of happiness and suffering and so on, there is some people who really enjoy God-like pleasures and wealth, enjoyments. And then there's others who suffer so much that often they commit suicide. So not everyone is exactly the same in this world. And then so what's the difference now? The difference comes down to the cause that was created. And people might think that I have different qualities and that's why there's a difference. But it really has to do with karma. It is all determined by karma. Your karma determines, first of all, what kind of parents' womb you enter, what kind of parents you get, and that determines what kind of life circumstance you're born into. And then in that life circumstance, then karma also determines what resources are available to you, what opportunities are available to you. Will you find a proper teacher and so forth. And so actually karma already begins the very moment you take birth. So it's not just the immediate ripening in, it could either go this or that way in this life, but a lot of things are already predetermined by your karma in terms of what life circumstance and opportunity and so on you are born into. And so this is what we reflect on when we think about the difficulty of finding a precious human body and its 18 qualities. And then one asks oneself, do I have these qualities and which ones do I have? For example, even if you're a very poor person, then you can, if you really understand all of this, you would think that even though I'm very poor, I still have a precious human body. And now if I compare myself to an animal, for example, an animal and me, we are the same. Our mind is exactly the same. But then this animal experiences so much suffering, whereas I actually experience much more pleasure and well-being in this life. So when you look at it from this perspective, then you will have really like an aha experience. You feel like this is really not arbitrary. This has a cause. So the cause is one's own karma. And so this is how you reflect on that, and then you move on to reflecting on the impermanence of this life, and then mainly karma. So ultimately, from the preliminaries, what we really need to understand, that one thing that we really need to clearly understand ultimately is the unfailingness, the infallibility of karma, cause and effect.
야, 다 담조지, 진이 담조지 가와데 공부 값에 다 책은 세상 땅 대로 삼모땅다 르비지로 삼모땅 서로 초와도 지야 그래. 오, 야, 지리리 기도 다와 제기는 삼모땅 따뜻한 거서 잠불는 차이잖아. 나와 사주베티 봐 가세도. 야, 이 너희들이 주실 가세도 주속들을 가세도. 이 삼모땅 들들 오 하장 능력을 하장 공부를 했어. 우리 서로 초화지요. 깜짝이 초화지게 되는 네 희바들의 가치가 요래. 초화도 맞지를 때 차라로로 초화도 맞지를 당연 거면 양도 로네. 되기는 너는 좀 탈. 한 머리도 짜쳐 버렸어. 로아 적는 머리도 네 제발 박발이 손을 매 용띠 하거나. 그 머리 인장 따다다. 다와지도 하고 평기고 내려오는 가리고 내려오는 가리 들이 통로 초와를 지금 깜짝이 초와를 내지더니 시합도 같이 요래 메소당도 같이 요래 시합도 가리 양당도 째고래 제전다 다 물다 아치버리서 하고나 다 처음부터 봤어 멀리 이제도 대왕도에 medop사로다 다 처음마다 봤더니 맛이나 그랬다 온 쳐가지고 마실래 말이 로로로는 나도 가르치는 대양보다 마시는 나는 뭐를 똑같이 달로 쓰면 돼요래 뒤나기는 받치 뭐요래 로로는 나도 담다 봐야지 너도 장이 조자도 장이 상치 받아 봐서 받아 보고 하고 되거는 문진 신은 문진 봐요 거요래 이 신은 문진은 생제 장마대 듣고 요래 같은 진행들이 선대 용어진지 찾는 차용을 요래. 들이 남는 탈속과한테는 상태적들이 용과 내쪽 요말에 대해서 어떤들이 처음 받아봐도 양도 팽그 요래. 삭발됐다. 로를 내가 동에 사사와도 용네. 들이 점쟁이나 판도하고 요래. 뒤적하는 용어 선역도 그래. 다 담조니까 완처럼 받아봐 레좀데 선데 아신 제가 치고 요래. 대서 꼬라 잡네. 들이 싸먹다는. 들이 다 내가 동일에 탑을 초도 잡았더니 대서는 거기 뒤늘에 좀 되고 들이 담조니까 난 처음 받아봐 람상들이 싸워 그래도 요래. 비와치 뭐래지.
And so when you reflect upon the difficulty of finding a precious human body, then you can read a book on that, and as you go through the different subjects, the different points that explain why it is so difficult to find the precious human body, you should really think about each of these points that are being made. And now thinking about it also implies that a feeling must be generated as you think about each of these points. For example, when you come to the section of reflecting on the 8 freedoms, then as you reflect upon each of these points, a real feeling must arise in your mind. For example, when you think about how many Buddhists are there in this world, how many have really understood the Buddha's teachings, how many actually practice it properly, and so on. And then you find like, oh, it is so few. It is really so rare, actually. A real feeling of like an amazed feeling of how rare it really is arises. And when that actual feeling arises, then your mind opens up. And that's really very important and that's why it's not enough to just understand something. Because if you just read something, if you read a book on that, you understand it, but then it doesn't generate a feeling in you, then your mind is not opening up. For the mind to open up, you need to develop that feeling. And that feeling can only be developed if you really internalize something or reflect upon something. So in the end, after you have really reflected on the precious human body, you really feel that that this human existence is really so precious. And among the 6 realms of samsara, it is the most precious kind of birth that we can take. And so that is how you feel when you, for example, understand the 8 unfree states. So you think about each of them. How is it if I'm born there, and so on. So a feeling must arise. And when that feeling arises, then your awareness, your wisdom really opens up. And it is a gradual process. You have to reflect on this again and again, and again make your mind open up. So once you have really understood and really feel how precious this human life actually is, then you would move on to reflecting on death and impermanence. And so we are reflecting on death and impermanence, the impermanence of this life, and not just in this ultimate sense of this life will end and we will die, but also what's really important is the momentary impermanence of things. In our mind, the thoughts in our mind are impermanent. They are momentary thoughts arising in the mind. For example, when we don't understand that point, this impermanence, then we are really running into making a grave mistake here that causes a lot of harm. For example, if you had a disagreement with someone last year, and then this year you still cling to that in your mind, you can't let go of it, and that causes a lot of harm. So it's important to also see the impermanence in a momentary sense, that especially the impermanence of your inner mind. The thoughts in your mind are impermanent. and enemies and friends and so forth, all of that is impermanent and constantly changing. So eventually, through reflecting on impermanence in this way, you will actually achieve a state that does not grasp at anything anymore. And when you don't grasp at anything, then the mind just abides in a very clear and pure state. Otherwise, the more you grasp at things, the more stirred up with mud the water of your mind will become. So ultimately then, when you have completed that practice, then afflictive emotions just can't stay in your mind any longer. And so again and again, you reflect on that point of impermanence in this way. And especially at times when you encounter suffering. When suffering is very intense, what's important to understand here also, especially at that point, is karma. There is a cause to that. And the cause are your own afflictive emotions. So those first 3 points of the preliminaries are actually interrelated. The precious human body and impermanence and karma, and they are most important. And if you have them internalized within your mind, they are actually the greatest method for you to become free from suffering. And then of those 3 points, the most important one actually is to understand karma, cause and effect. And if that is very clear, then actually also the other points of impermanence and precious human body and so on, they will also become clear. So what's very important really is to understand the workings of karma.
hundu chira tabjor ni kawa chowa mata ba machina o ngam 제대로 속고 차 되는 거로 내 가용을 산이 셔터들 레그 지서 나오마 도더니 마체지 손은 틱딱 코사요 말이지 다 레그 지서 되나 들송체 두게 마시게 들좀게서 맞춘 걸 내가 망고치 얘네도 봤당 랑그 진시 지왕 도저 뵙게 땅들이 이제 얼마나 때도 뵙고다는 망보요는 잡을 작합 탐지는 대탑지 동행까지 냠냠냠 요래 대탑을 오다 레주데시 바카지 셀레기지선 장관도 대위에다 조건은 며칠들 다 삼대에다 보자 걸지고도 다 삼대에서 너무나지 그 산속 생존을 뭐지 다른 그 소들 리다 소 디바이 얼마지 바다 바레 콜라로데 삼대들 라야요면 오 세는 삼대들은 주님 말한 삼대들이 오래요 이통마 조건은 이통거리 멜피도 나 말한 거는 삼대들 랩도 그러나 샬라 삼대는 가능한 도 그래 삼나 들이 텔레티니 들이 레좀데디 시바 카치오에 들이 삼대기 인디 하고 요래 들이 며칠인데라 내가 또 가리다 삼대도 산이 시디 잡을 야고 차고 손 딜로도 건 셔터공도 베스에다 버렸나 들이 저만 받아 봐 레좀데디 들이 답적을 주제 로도 남았지 데리들이 삼단이지 따라와서들이 고통도 삼단이지 따라 쇼무서
So now we have understood that we found a precious human body, and so now knowing that, and what should we do with this body? So now we can, one could think that now I have this wonderful body, so I should use it to have a good life, to have a happy time here. But that's not the best use of this precious human body. So once you understand that you have found a precious human body, you also have to understand impermanence and karma. And if you don't know that, you are going to waste your precious human life. For example, if you're very rich, many people in this world are very rich, or other people are famous, some people have a lot of influence or power, or some they're never sick, and some people are always happy in their minds and so on, have a long life. All of that exists in this world. And if we don't understand karma, then you might think that, oh, that is because I have achieved this. I've achieved this with my own abilities. So you're taking pride in your achievements. You, for example, think it's because I studied very hard and so on. But this is not how it all is. If you don't understand karma, then that merit that you are currently experiencing will come to an end. Because you don't know that you are experiencing this merit, this wealth, for example, because you have practiced generosity in a previous life, and you have practiced generosity with a mind of love, or you have practiced ethical discipline. Of course, if you practice that karma will ripen, that merit will ripen. But then, for the most part, it also will come to an end in this life, even in this life. For example, in the early part of your life, you might be very rich, and then in the later part of your life, you lose everything, like your business goes down, and so on. So often it doesn't stay for our entire life even. And why does it go down? That is something we can only understand if we understand karma. If we don't understand karma, even though we are creating some merit, we are not actually dedicating that merit for the state of awakening. And then if you do something good to others, then you might think that I did something great to help that person. And there might even be some compassion involved, and you're doing something meritorious. But that kind of merit is like the lamp flame, the fire flame in an oil lamp. And when the oil is exhausted, then the fire is extinguished. And then there is some no matter what they do in the Dharma or in the world, it never comes to an end. Even in future lifetimes, their merit never comes to an end. And that is because they have really understood karma. They have understood the quality of karma already in previous lives. And so what does that mean to understand karma? It means that, for example, if you experience the slightest well-being, then you know that this is because I have done something with a mind of love. I have been generous, that's why I'm rich. So now I must be generous again. Or if you have a long life, it is because you have saved the lives of others with a mind of love. So now I must again do that. I must save the lives of others. So such a person who understands karma will know how to sustain this continuum of merit, also in future lifetimes. And then as a result of that, in future lifetimes, they will know how to create the causes of the happiness of the higher realms. And then even if you experience the slightest suffering, then you would recognize who has created that. It was created by my own hatred, by my jealousy, by my stinginess. The 10 non-virtuous actions all are committed with an afflicted mind. And that afflicted mind arises due to the grasping at a self. And so if you understand that, if you understand karma, then you will just naturally avoid all non-virtuous conduct, just like it is your law, just like following the law. So you know how to carry on that continuum of merit. And so now, if you do not understand that, if you do not have this foundation of the preliminaries, if you don't understand the difficulty of finding a precious human life, impermanence and karma, then you will be distracted by the pleasures, the richness and so on of this life. And when you die, you will still follow your own karma. But at that time, you will not be able to bring any of that with you. So because you don't understand karma also, you will also do a lot of things in this life that are contrary to the understanding of karma. So you will do a lot of negative things that hurt others. And that karma you will bring with you into future lives. You will hurt others, you will harm them, you will abuse them, you will destroy them, and so forth. And there is a lot of history we can see in this world. In many countries this has happened. And now we can see what kind of suffering they experience. So it's really most important that we understand karma. When you die, you will follow your own karma. So the one important thing in this life for us to develop is a mind of love. That love is like your jewel. That is why it is called the precious bodhicitta. Your body, your life, you will not bring any of that with you. It is impermanent and you will have to leave it behind. But what you will not leave behind is your mind of love. And for example, if you have a mind of love, even in your dreams, that will be reflected in your dreams. Whoever you encounter, you will see them as a friend. So that is how beneficial, how important that mind of love is. So you have to see that and really be convinced that when I am going to die, I have to bring that with me. I have to bring this mind of love with me. So understanding karma from this perspective is really extremely important. We need to understand the quality of love. And the most important mission of this life is to develop that, is to develop love. Because later when you die, that is the one thing that you will have to bring with you by any means. So this is how we now reflect on those 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And So basically, coming back to that verse, we need to ride that horse that brings us to the higher states. We need to ride the horse of love and compassion.
주도는 맞다가 같이 하고 배워요. 그랬다 다더니 가만 좀 차장 배워로 차장 배나 소양 대서를 보러라 차장 배고 sab지 고죠.
So, Madama friends, many of you, maybe you have arrived quite early already today. So maybe you need to take a toilet break. And we take a 15-minute break for using the toilet. And if you don't have to use the toilet, you can just stay here and meditate.
Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum, Om mani padme hum. 다다 디 삼당 휴지에서 내린 직진수 구송 양 토모방이 봐서 여러 강에 다장 그 소시는 삼바다 기계냐 고 찍바도 저 삼휴지에서 삼휴지가 카카레스 삼바다 저거 휴지 데르들이 삼바다 저거 휴지 휴지 아체 보레스 삼바다 만들고 휴지 또 찾아들어와 요래 삼바다 저거 휴지 아체 보이소 삼바다 저거 휴지 가르들이 돼서 못하면 변에 들이 전시바 전소아 데레들이 이게 지지게 삼바다 저거 휴지되나 삼바다 요나 그 랑지들이 이게 변에 삼바다니 맞다고 들이 이게 살다 랑지가 연구요래서 변나 네 마지게 보라 삼바요를 와서 그 보디 통만이니 제 나온 삼바 다들 배열들라 들이 타발 바탕 지게들이 다들 배열들라 들이 삼바다 hin지 고속요래 대회 토만이 들이 용띠 자요네 중적을 나로 요래서 중적 가리 나데 뒤중 가리 나도 정을 때라 상태요는 yin 당와요 그래 별 보고는 초과자면 나 보고 때 보고 yin 보고 들어 고소라고 요래 되게들이 삼바의 용띠 용 코르스 사와들 다 쏘지네 용띠 중는 줄로 요래서 나와 출로보다 가리 뒤 니보라 되네 마난 화사냐베 senchi 삼제도 끼와 나서 어때지는 저 파마마지와 강을 찌어요 때도 직장 끼기만 어때지는 들이 사바체미 받지 요래 사바체미 받지와 되더니 yin 사바체미 받지 요서는 말이 랑가 소다리지 랑 사바체미 받지 랑 셈도 그 사바체도 제대로 잡으려고 요래지 들더니 애들은 예상하고 오타 탐치 자캅티데 자캅티라고 제와 소시 자캅티를 제아오나 근데 이 자캅 탐치라 봐 제와 차도 고요리 자캅을 제와 차도 고요리 대다보다 지나더니 자캅들 피고 자캅들 까른 치보리 있었나 들이 자캅티는 세월 앞상 치고 차는 거예요 무슨 초와지 대를 만 남카다냐 버셈지 담치된 오타테 인사래서 고아로 오면 용왕 용고용도 대회들이 너무 삼바지 삼바지 때문에 hin지되나 들이 자캅티 그 까참 레지바 좀 벌써요 오내 파마다 그래서 대로 통통고요래 벌써 면을 가리용도 벌써 용납다 오 벌써 들은가 동나 뭐 동소데 벌써 얘들 면들이 까게 가리도 다 자고 왔구만 시험에 왔다 줄래가 가르쳐도 벌써도 고글이 성아 동나 동삼이더니 벌써를 봐서 맞지 그래 대마실 벌써 시작해 버리다 가시고 야 대삼치 상로도나 다 취소세는 그래 취소 벌써 먹어 삼치 취소 냠도 됐어 그봐 좀 됐어 다 취소 벌써 매해 야잖아 그리고도 나와줄 됐어 말이야 배대다가 삼모들이 삼바들 저기지나 삼바데다 호 파마 드니 기기 드니 자캅 드니 잠벌이 자캅 탐지를 삼모도나 찍을 삼모도나 양 상태 고도 찍을 때 당sem지나 드니 알라요 그래 너네들이 나빠 사지 삼바데 삼바 체미 바디 드니 때는 이제 남진이 요구요래 배는 또 속차 탐지를 파마마데 받겠다 매서나 배라 네, 어서 속차 날려구나. 랑상 코토랑도. 파마마지가 요 말이서 랑상 코토 매와야 그래서 루트 걸 말이지. 그때다가 새로 초와지들이 시당지 랑상 파르고 요리. 뒤도 초와지들이 은혜 삼바 체미 받아 땅터나. 그 삼바단지 이제 랑진이 용거리. 대 하짝지 침보요리. 이제 뒤송고가 손을 삼바들이 이제 거래해서.
So we have been talking about love and compassion, and regarding that, actually there is a special instruction by Jigten Sumgön, and so that instruction is given because some of us often think that the love and compassion are equivalent, they're the same thing. But actually that's really not the case. There's actually a difference there. And so what we want to develop, what is really precious, is that compassion that is infused with love. And if compassion is not infused with love, then that kind of compassion often becomes infused with attachment or desire. So the compassion that is infused with love is really precious. And if we have that kind of love as a basis, then we will be able to recognize the kindness of others, and also we have a wish to repay their kindness. So when love is there as a basis, then compassion will naturally arise from that. Just like when the sun is shining, the sun is like love, then naturally light rays emerging from that sun, which is like compassion. For example, a mother loves her child, right? So that's, we understand. But then there is some kind of fixation here. For ordinary people, they would then think that this is my child. So we think that this is mine. It's an object of ours that belongs to the I. And when that is the basis, then even though there is love, the mother of course loves the child, but it's based on this I, this self-clinging, then even 100 qualities, 100 good qualities are lost through a single fault. That single fault is the self, that I. And so you have love, you love certain beings or objects that you claim to be yours, but then that also leads to an aversion against others. For example, if your child is having a fight with another child, then immediately you will take sides and protect your own child and get angry at the other child. So in our samsaric activities, the self is most important, and that is what makes all good qualities become a fault. And so that is what we are introduced to when we in Buddhism as an antidote to that fault. We have to bring to mind all mother sentient beings. And so for that, to understand that, we are introduced to the truth of past and future lives. And then we train our mind by bringing to mind anyone that we love, and then recognizing that every being is just like that. Every being has been that in a previous life. And in that way, immeasurable love will arise. And so when you think in this way, now when you think that I care about others, then you might think that care for others is for their sake. But actually it is for your own sake. It is your own greatest benefit, really. Because when you love others, and the more you love others, the more your mind will open up and become pervasive. For example, if you love your country, then it is also necessary to not just limit that love to your country, but to think that may all countries be well and happy. May it be good in every country. So that's important. So when that thought arises, a real feeling should arise in your mind, a real feeling of really wishing that. Otherwise, if we just recite something verbally and say all mother sentient beings and so on, then we might feel that this is how it should be, this is how I should think, but it is just a thought then, just an understanding, but not an actual feeling, not an actual experience. So for this reason, it is important to really reflect on that. So when you develop such love, then compassion naturally arises. For example, in a country, then you would feel grateful towards everything in your country. For example, the government officials or the police force and so on. You would see them all as your parents, because you would know how would it be without the police, for example. If somebody hits you, you can call the police. But how would it be if there wouldn't be any police? Then what about all those other people who lack any intelligence and who go around robbing others and stealing from others and so on? So when you see that, you will really feel love for the police. And then there are still some who just don't understand that, and they get angry at the police and they even kill the police officers. So then you could say to that, and then if you think that this is the right way, then go ahead. And if you don't think you need police, then maybe all of you who think we don't need police, you should all get together and live together without police, without protection, and see how that will go. Probably you will not be able to stay even for 1 month. So what's important is now to develop that kind of compassion that is infused with love. And that love arises when we remember the kindness of first of all, our parents, and then our teachers, and then our countries, and all of the countries. So if the moment you think of, the moment you just wish for the happiness of your own country, but you are resentful towards another country, you have already lost your love. So the Buddhist love is immeasurable, and that means for everyone. And when that arises, then from that immeasurable love, then compassion naturally arises. And so the way you cultivate is that whoever you meet, whatever being you meet, you think that this has been my parent. For example, an animal. Normally, if we don't know that, when we see a little insect, for example, immediately we feel angry. We feel like a resentment against it. But then if you know that this also has been my parent, then you will be able to be patient with it. And so then through that feeling of knowing that this has been my parent, then the resentment, the aversion against it instantly will dissolve. So this kind of feeling of love has to arise. And then from that feeling of immeasurable love, compassion will naturally arise. So this is really extremely important. And this is what really Jigten Sumgön is saying here. It is that the kind of compassion that you need to develop is the compassion that is infused with love.
산속을 절대 보고 요래 절로 강을 되라 오 다다랑 다다 종화대 다지 니케는 잔이니 밤이 바삼로 땅나 오 다들 니 당시 자체를 지양하마 이거 자체 니케대 생각도 말했더니 되죠 하래스 그 심지 당시 때 파마 마지라가 연진의 소리들이 파마 보고 강나 지야오는 제다 마디바 직접 매봐 섬나 들리지 다리 파시 쪽 따다 창거 요래 뭐서 창거 요래 들리 제외를 들리다다 대네 맞잖아 사바세비 바데 사마시나 들리 다톡 시랍 창거 요 말에 시랍지바 강래 다지 님해봐 가시 다지 인 통화될 때 내가 처마들이 파마에서 직접 매봐 싸움났으니 이제 다시 하고 되니 사바체매봐 다진이 소리때 먹게 되더니 생기 탐지랑 그 강나 찌아요 봐 대다 맞지바 직접 매서 빼는 뽀지를 갈아들 때나 야 단잡을 링게 생기 소차 탐지 뭐 보게 되는지 맞지바 직접 연말에 남들이나 이 생기 탐지 이제 막 나와 대서 쓰는 충충 저기들 빼수는 셈을 받지 더고 술남치 받지 랑 셈을 대다ವೆ 오 잡을는 셈지 담지 셈은 좋은 거래 뒤쪽도 셈지 나지 식은 거요래 좋아요 때에 하자 같이 하래 때가 삼바체비 봐 하고 뭐 탑let을 있다가 오늘 이제 뭐 내려 기왕 앞에 대하고나들이 님 카세가 나기더니 나지 이메와 들이랑 그 약합 선앙에 나온다. 들이랑 그 단이 강하에 나온다니. 자조치에 되다 나와서 자시 받아. 자디 이제 다돼서 자차대요. 비가리지나 따라 파마 제치보 마상치보 가시게 보상치게 파마 사세요면 파마진 강바다 배샤를 합탑자 다 같이 작아요. 대지 파마지 셈을 가르사고도 호호 나라 상태면 고생은 강바다 배샤쪽을 하더라도 호소 싸움이 뭐 잡아랑네 나그 배샤데 차다 힘을 쬐고 어디 보고 쬐면서 이슬람이 망보요래 제 탐지 싸는 것도 삐 마체딘 배바서 오면 손을 맞이 찌어를 체란 명보라더니 시상은 야베 자사 생각들이 여라가 자사 또 먹고도 저런 네 성수는 파봐서 봐 문이 저거로 싸는 것도 대서 놓아쳐 보요래 답에 취했더니 오나 노성스 다 거기서 갈치를 칠스 오 거기서 냐바지 제거랬지 됐다 어쩌더니 다당을 한 거 빼나 전내로 두쳐보면 야 다가 진짜면 약합을 빼주고 삼을 팽그레스 같이 약합을 바꿔야 아주 약실이 럽달라 펄 미강라 펄 됐다 어쩌 출신이 되게 됐다 싸먹었다네 더니 제베요 봐 사람 망보르들이 쏘는 거 이제 파라다스 봐요 됐다 팽그요래 삼바가 윤띠 됐다 왜 삼바 마시비 좀 삼바 체비가 마시비 좀 다리 됐다 왜 연구요래 중대는 어디 가가시네 들이다 나봐 사집에 따와대 자치 뭐이 봐 들이네 하고 터고요래 들때는 삼바가 놓고로 애들이 자송을 해서
So in the samsaric state, then no, there's a family. We have families, and we love our families. We love our children, for example, and so that kind of love must be transformed. It must be transformed into bodhicitta, into the path that leads to bodhicitta. And so, first of all, for the time being, when we see still a duality of self and other, first of all, we need to understand that enemies and friends are actually uncertain, even now in this life, actually. And so who is our friend now has been maybe an enemy in a previous life, and who is an enemy now was a friend before. And even in this life, it changes momentarily depending on the way we see things in our mind. But ultimately, then, every being has been our parent in a previous life on the relative level. And for this reason, we have to think about their good qualities of having been our parents. So you bring to mind the love that you have for whoever you love, your parents and your children and so on, and then think that every being has been that in a previous life. And if you feel such love for them, then within that essence of love, the 6 parameters are actually naturally included. They are naturally will arise from this state of love. So this is how we transform our ordinary love into the path of bodhicitta. And then if we don't do that, then even though we do have love for our families and friends and so on, ultimately, if we do not transform that into immeasurable love, then we are lacking the last parameter of wisdom. So then we are seeing a duality of self and other, and now temporarily, now we have to see that everyone has been one's parent, and when you see that, from that seeing, wisdom arises, and then from that immeasurable love arises for them. But if we are fixated on the true existence of self and other, then the mind remains in a state of ignorance. And so now how we can transform from that state is that we really recognize that all beings have been someone very dear to me. For example, if you have a child and you are feeding your child, then you should think that every being in this entire universe has been my child, just like that. And if you think that in that moment you're feeding your child, then this act of giving becomes the generosity of giving to all sentient beings. So a very small virtue turns into a very, very great accumulation of merit. So merit is really something that comes from your mind. And so then if you know that, then you will be able to bring to mind all sentient beings, and in that way self-clinging will diminish and a real feeling will arise. So that's really very, very important. So we develop immeasurable love, and a method for that also is to understand karma and past and future life. So we really understand how everyone has been our parents. And so then our heart will open up. And when our heart opens up to all sentient beings, then we will be able to begin to understand that self and other actually do not exist. We are not separate. And then there is not much fixation to one's own country or another country or enemies and friends. We will not make all of these divisions any longer. And we will actually consider the so-called enemies or adversaries as more important. We will put them in the very beginning and cultivate love for them. Also understanding that in a previous life, they have been extremely kind to us, and now they arise as our enemy because we have not repaid their kindness. For example, how that happens is that there's a family that has children. They're very wealthy, and then the children often, they don't recognize the kindness of their parents. They don't even love their parents, and all they're really out for is to get the parents' money and their house, their possessions, and so on. So how does that make the parent feel? Then the parent feels that my own child doesn't love me. All they really want is my money and my possessions, my house, and so on. So they get extremely angry at their children. And they often get so angry that they feel that I'm not going to give anything to them. I'm rather spending my money on my cat or my dog. I'm not going to give them my money. So this is what happens to their mind. And then in this life already they will be miserable, of course, but then not only in this life, but that kind of resentment then is the very cause of falling into hell. And then their stinginess is their cause of falling to the states of the hungry spirits. Their ignorance is the cause of falling into the animal realm. So they will never become liberated again from the 3 lower realms. And so that comes just from that resentment. So this is how the harm that is being created if we don't understand the causes originating in our own mind. So on the other hand, someone who understands the Dharma, for example, a wealthy person, would just think that let them do whatever they wish, I will remain in a state of equanimity. It's all the same. And if I'm rich, then I can contribute to the country. I can support a hospital or a school, build a school, and so on. And these kind of causes that are being created will bear great results in future lifetimes. And also you will perfect the paramita of generosity. So it's very important to clearly discern between the qualities of the good qualities of love and understanding the quality of love and the faults of not understanding those qualities. And so that's really a special quality of the Buddhist view. Through the Buddhist view, we can understand the preciousness of love. So that is the introduction, the teaching on that first point of love.
다다 지티성고 송지요래 송원 콜로 매종 상촉세는서 강의들이 서서 송접 제나 삼지 송접 제거래서 파르브자 세다 해당지 세거래서 등상 잡을 거 가래지게 해당은 미세게 요래서 미세바데 미세나 미세 셈지 해당지 세 맞았나 양적의 레이다들이 남인진 되어서 점수인진 되어 될때 레이든 펜네 단 잡을인데 다른 그 칼라사제 다지 파용을 다 독다 소셜의 전들이 세 셈지 좀 좋아졌고요. 될때 단 잡을인데 되라고 차용 거요래. 될때 강에지 삼지게 사지가 쓸 해당의 세고래. 해당의 세나 가르게 삼지가 세고래. 루바가 세고래서 데르티는 은혜에 하고나 드리면 참아서 하고 펜션 발라트니 나중에 버살로도 드리 펜션이 와가지고 빼나 잡을링이 뭐만 살로도 데이터 살로도네 드리 펜션 삼세가 되었지 나중에 버살좀 데이터고 지나 드리 탑지 뭐 창집을 매나지 데이터버더니 세상도 세는 일 하고 삼세 거는 드리 문의시 탑이요래 데르티 맞아서 저게 뜻단 답을인데 동에 미직이나 소소 송원이 매도 송원 콜로 매동 사촉셈데 변다다 정까지 홍담디 강리들 셈도 세와다 말아서 오래 시람데 니마 삼지도 다와리 니마 다와니 잡을 세배야 되리 셈도 삼지도 가지고 말해서 셈도 삼지도 말아다 되니 다tuk 사지 요거에서 이메와 착거에서 이메와 때 홍그에서 배나 데이터가 다 되리 그때에는 시당 참시 시당 최종 연능 약합 제부터 약합 받나 매상 미가 빠이나 그리 라게 시당시는 삼지에서 탑지 제거해서.
And another instruction by Lord Jigten Sumgön is the most powerful protection sphere is bodhicitta. And so what really protects you is your mind of love. So if you kill your enemy, for example, that will not eliminate the enemy. What really has to be eliminated or killed is your own hatred. So nowadays in this world, what countries and people are doing is they are killing with hatred. Trying to destroy one another. But this can actually not happen because hatred has not been destroyed. And because hatred has not been destroyed, that karma will continue on. It will ripen into a full maturation. It will fully mature. And then there will be a result that is corresponding to the cause and so on. So karma will perpetuate, in other words. And so what people are doing nowadays, what countries are doing is they're even leaving aside their own sustenance, their food to eat and so on, and they're turning it all into poison and weapons. And they're destroying each other with nuclear weapons and so forth. So this is not how we are going to destroy our hatred in our mind, which has created all of that conflict. The Buddha had said you have to destroy your own hatred to destroy all enemies. And the way to do that, the way to kill your own hatred, is with love and with patience. And so based on that understanding, you should equalize self with others. Whatever you self need, others also need. You should have a concern for everyone else, for other people, those around you, and treat each other with compassion and love and kindness. So you should really hold that view of equalizing self with others and see everyone just like your family. And that is actually then a very easy method to destroy your own hatred. So that is your best protection. Your best protection is the protection of bodhicitta. And in the Drikung Kagyu lineage, that is also really, in essence, represented by the Drikung Kagyu logo that you have here. There is this logo that is the sun and the moon with the hung syllable in the center. And that really represents what we've just been talking about. The sun represents your wisdom, and the moon represents love. And together it is saying, do not separate your mind from love. And then if you never separate your mind from love, then you will ultimately attain enlightenment. You will realize non-duality. And this non-dual state is represented by the syllable Hong. So hatred arises in all kinds of forms. It arises between countries, it arises between people and so on. And the only way to eliminate it, to kill that hatred, is through love.
등이 탑 내가 탑 될 줄라고요. 될 때니 답변하지 내와서 거는 내가 좀이 그래서 내와서 내가 저탕 버렸지 송대선이 내가 저다 삼체 코나 사바체미 봐 코나이 봐. 대응원지는 등이 취지는 뭐 사속선지 단 남과 사지 밖에 산속선조를 뭐지 맹다고요. 이제나게 제와 삼지 용진이 요구요래. 어다 취탐제가 누보지 라고도 어다 땡기지 시라고 저게 누보가 제를 탐제를 냠린게 터봐서 착사해. 나디는 롱까지에서 탐제가 도난제가 뭐 없어. 등리들이 누보가 차대요래. 주로 가이바비 주동 터봐. 답되어 동고 터봐. 대는 잡을 출국하기 찍듯이네. 오 산속생을 해서. 냠이 가르치는 또대 산속생 삽제다 보자야래. 사하고서 너도 저 하고도 되는 추탐적인 뭐 산속생서. 내가 뭐 시합에 저거 좀 봐야지.
It is said that the 84,000 Dharma teachings all are included within bodhicitta. And now when we speak about Dharma, it's not actually just that Dharma, like the Buddha Dharma, but Dharma is also something we call phenomena. All Dharmas are all phenomena of samsara and nirvana, or all activities of the world and also of the Dharma. So the Dharma, the way to understand Dharma is that it is the method to become free of all suffering and to achieve a state of happiness. So if you want to be happy, you have to create the causes for happiness. That's why we say, may beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. And the only cause of happiness is this immeasurable love. And that is what we need to recognize and identify with the Dharma. That is the Dharma. So the essence of Dharma is bodhicitta. And in Buddhism, we call it the precious bodhicitta. In other traditions, it is referred to in different ways. People speak about love, and they speak about kindness, and so on, and their good qualities. But that's the essence of the Dharma. And so here the key word is essence. Khenpo Sherab actually had said that now when we speak about the fivefold path of Mahamudra, then people might just think that this is a practice exclusive to the Drikung-Kagyu lineage. And they shouldn't think that, because when they see it in that way, then they would really not have much interest if they are from a different lineage. So he suggested that actually it shouldn't be called the fivefold path, but it should be called the five essences. Because it is really true, this fivefold path really are five essential points that have to be applied to any Dharma practice. And when you understand that, then those five essential points really can become very useful no matter what you practice. And they are also very easy to understand. And so in essence, the point of the essence of practice, the essential point in bodhicitta, is that we have to develop and then maintain state of love. That's really the essence of it. So that is why we say the essence of the Dharma is bodhicitta. So this is how Khenpo Sherab had explained it.
Pero todo so cha je jiwa lang na todo ka xie le de ma bo nyam de de ta ba de todo ka xie le de zo da nyam de de je shen je xie de be de shang de 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 bo de de zo ji ba ge ji ba cha ma yi dong a ne ba ma ga de todo so cha ma wo yo le di yong di ka le de ko to pin jin che wa me ba de ge shang je yo ba di yong de le 소차 같이 득발하다 돌아라서 이게 뭐 충청나 독단이 고바담들이 독단을 넣었다니 이게 무슨 세고 그랬어 맛에 타면 세르까지 은혜주는 아시 맛에 타면 세고 코랑 세고 그랬어 이완들한테 매일 참아라 너바 땅 참아라 되니 대결 뒤공지 해당 거라서 늘 진짜 뒤송 송지 정지 계획 삼바라서 인소 대기가 람지하고서 다 싸면 양성형도 딱지 뺐던 거요. 어따 저게 그 삼만하도 돼. 독도도 봐도 세고 소자탐지. 무슨 제일 듣봐요 그래서. 이런 맛이랑 세리 물을 못 졸았던 거요. 독해. 코맛이 니들 코랑 세고요 그래서. 속자 같이 속접지 거요. 코서 속접지 거. 코서 조지바 괜히 봐. 이동 참이 되는 경우게요. 코서 속접지这上这个原地上适当的插到个中得到什么当了上这中的有那地用地要吃了他们这种啊适当的插到中这些有那就是地牛吧这刚的从那 tartunya vari de la soga data just samotang yang de just samotang jumir samotang jumir samti yuntin de yang de yang shedang de chado jung de yang de de ki chibo yore.
So still one more point to be made about love now. So it is not just something that we speak about in a religious sense or in a dharma sense, but actually also in a worldly sense, in a human sense. When, for example, between friends, when they have perfect love for one another, then in this life becomes meaningful together. And also in future lifetimes, they will be born as companions. For example, even if they're born as animals, there are some animals where many animals stay together peacefully, or two animals stay together, and there are certain animals where they spend their whole life together, and when one dies, then very soon after the other one also dies. And so there are certain animals that have a very beautiful appearance and a beautiful voice, and they don't harm anyone, and everyone who sees them, it makes them happy, and so on. So when we see those animals, again, we have to remember that the quality of that is a quality of love. It is because they love each other. That's the quality. And for example, other animals like a scorpion or a poisonous snake are this small little insect that can cause a lot of harm with their poison. When you're walking, for example, and a scorpion stings you, it causes a lot of harm. And often you have no choice but to kill that animal. Not like you want to kill it, but often you have no choice. And what's actually really happening is that, in a sense, that animal is really killing itself. Because in this kind of incarnation, it causes a lot of harm to a human being, for example. And as such, it is a manifestation of hatred. Also, Lord Jigten Sumgön had said that the karmic ripening, it is the momentary ripening of, or the ripening of this inner thought, this inner state of mind that is momentary. So, when I read this quote, then to me an instant understanding arose. And then I kept thinking about this again and again. For example, in terms of the scorpion or the snake. So of course we know, for example, that if we kill that scorpion, then that's a negative thing to do. But often we have no choice, because that scorpion is also causing a lot of harm with its poison to a precious human body, and then we could even die. And so in that sense, karmically seen, that scorpion or snake is really killing itself. And then there's other animals that we want to protect and we want to care for them. They are very beautiful and they have a nice voice and they make us smile when we see them and so on. And so karmically seeing, again, they are really protecting themselves in that sense. And that is the quality of love. So this is how you should think about the fault of anger and of jealousy and the quality of love. And even the slightest form of anger or jealousy in our mind causes that harm, becomes the cause for such harm. And ultimately, wherever you go, it causes a lot of harm. But ultimately, beyond this life now, it will plunge you into the lower states of existence, into hell and so on. So it's really a point that you should think about again and again. Really think about karma. When you think about karma, you should think about the qualities of love, and especially the faults of anger and jealousy again and again. That's really very important.
산속 섬쪽보로 뛰니들이 소탈도 산신이지 지와 망보로 뛰니들이 갈래 내가 돌리게 되와 된 사속 산지 고방 남스는 그럴 때라 산속 섬 소상지 남들이 다 여담들 하고 봐 여담들 하고 막 하는 애들 상하게 누보 여담들 라도 거래스 네 상하게 누보 송 그것이라고 그때 송 거래 때문에 여담들 라고 마송 프로젝트에 송 거래 상하게 누보지 봐 가래리 상하게 누보 따라 가래 핑거도 마따라 가래 핑거 바로 여담들 라고 맞나 정말 여담들 라고야 다 망자송 라래더니 마래리 됐다고 상고요래 상하시바 동직러도 요래 라공고 가리지 상하시바 소소가 멀리를 못 치는데 마음이 그 매도 사웅따위 봐 다매도 사웅도 경무실 때는 매도도 매도 약보더라고 사웅도 까부이제 요래 말말말 저 매도도 고해 매도도 마음에도 가고 매도도 사운데 내 가요 상고요 말적인데 쳐는 요 사는 쪽도 매도도 윤보되게 치 매도도 커도 가시 매도가 매도도 커도 저는 쪽 막하지 되고 라로 내 말에 참 사운도 고져라 내 밑에 강원시는 매도 요래를 아래 대지 하고 다시 하고 매도가 용띠 사운을 봐 하고서 들상하지 예담 잡차 망보요나 용띠나 적그래서 어디다더니 랑글 셈이와라 더니 사지고 고망 죽니 더니 용띠 중야 요래서 대라요래서 대라 상하게 누보 예담들 라서 대랑하 산이니 안도 요래 상하되나 마시바 동하마고 봐 매도 용띠 사원을 봐 하마고 대상하래
So the path, there's two paths that where one only practices bodhicitta. And so the path of individual liberation and bodhisattva path, through gradually developing bodhicitta, the mind will become matured in a gradual way over the course of several lifetimes. And so first one will attain the happy states of the higher realms temporarily, and finally one attains enlightenment. So that's the path of bodhicitta. And so then for the Vajrayana, and this is the second point here, that is the practice of the Yidam deity. And the essence of the secret mantra Vajrayana is the practice of the Yidam deity. And again, Khenpo Sherab had said it is the essence of the secret mantra. Otherwise, it is just said, this point is just called the practice of the Yidam deity. So the essence of the secret mantra is that, speaking about the essence, again, we have to understand now what's the whole point, what's the benefit, what's the essence of practicing a Yidam deity. And so not really knowing the essence then may make us think that it's just extremely complicated. There is just so many Yidam deities, too many deities, and each deity has their own mantra and so on. So essence is again a crucial point, because when we practice the secret mantra, we have to also be able to gather all this great diversity here into one single essential point. And that is the purpose of why are we practicing a Yidam deity. So the secret mantra is the reason why it is called that secret, is the secret mantra, is that there is something hidden there. So we have a precious human body, but we are in an unripe state. It is just like we are the seed of a flower, so we are unripe. And not recognizing that is the qualities of the flower are hidden from us, so we don't see the qualities of the flower in the seed. And not seeing that, we might think that the flower is what I want, the flower is beautiful. But then you just step on the seed and don't really consider it as precious. So then in the secret mantra you're being told, don't do that. If you want the flower, you also want the seed. Don't destroy the seed if you want the flower. But rather take that seed and plant it into the ground and give it water and some time, and it will grow into a flower. And then you will have a flower for a long time. One other thing that people do is that they see the flower and they cut it, put it in a vase, in the water for a few days, and then it withers. So we have to be skillful in not destroying our flower. We have to protect our flower. And to do that, we have to protect the seed first of all. And then when we have the flower, we have to protect that flower, keep that flower. And so that is what the secret mantra introduces us to. It makes us see the qualities within the seed of the flower. So, in other words, even though there are hundreds of different yidam deities, they all have a single quality. And that is that when we practice the yidam deity, it becomes a method for our body and mind to ripen, to become complete Buddhas, to ripen into the two form emanations of a Buddha. All the qualities can arise from that. So that's the essence of the secret mantra. It is the yidam deity practice. And the secret mantra is comprised of the older and the new tantric traditions. And so in any case, if one doesn't understand the essence of the secret mantra, it is just like not understanding the quality of a flower that is already present within the seed of the flower. So because it's in a way hidden, it is called the secret mantra.
Jabo yindang sanji ge re yore semdi yin jimi ge jasa chu jabu po yina yang come to the jabu po tawe yina yang jabu po ge jasa sengo it jasa kang yin jimi ge jasa yin jimi ge jasa de sengo nero ha ko gore sem korang yin sanji ye bara kan jerme ba tile yin jimi ge jasa zungji tap kare da san chu sem o Jao si fate ke yin chok thok go jambang chong go ras o je jemi tong ko to sa chok sen sa pa che mi ba go res ti sa pa che mi ba de na ti sin na ti ni ta tong dam sa chok sen je ni ti ra do le ti chuk ja sa thop sa je thang che li chuk ba na mi ba yi do le ti zok ni ke lo ko chok ke ti se ki thang che ko ma to ko chok ta ba sa je de ye me ba de cha to ko yo le ti ja sa ma ja ju me ja sa ma so no ma ha du ko mang ma de eso o ti ja sa de so na de zok ki ma zu mi la tham che ke de be na cho lo kwa che yo le o cha ma ra ko ko cha ro yo le ti lu dam de la ne tin zu de yang yu lu bo ni ji che ko le 또 자사데 세부 제제 비자사 삼바 체미바 때리니 제 체미바 때리 자사스나 이 고조 산적 세부 자사스요나 자오데나 나선을 야방디 통고요레 동당 산적 생고 또로더니 레어 차타고 동당 산적 세 공방 토야 요레서
So the root verse for that point then says, unless if you do not stabilize your own body, the king of deities, in the unchanging ground, then the retinue of Dakinis will not assemble. And so your own body is like a king, it is said, because it is the deity. And so what that means is that actually your mind is its nature is the Buddha. But it has to be stabilized in the unchanging ground, it says. And that means that even though you have this precious human body endowed with 6 elements and so on in this life, you have to also seize the kingdom of your king of bodies, of the Yidam deity. Stabilize it in the unchanging ground. And that means that you have to realize the nature of the mind, basically. So the basis of your mind is always as it is, and it never changes. And the method to actualize that, to realize that unchanging ground, to stabilize or to realize the unchanging ground, is bodhicitta. And if you have bodhicitta, then you are like this king who is seizing his kingdom and then is able to protect his subjects. So first you have to develop the relative bodhicitta of immeasurable love. That's the first kingdom that you're seizing. When you seize that kingdom of the relative bodhicitta, then from there the ultimate bodhicitta will arise. And then for your own purpose, you attain the kingdom of the Dharmakaya. And so here you are becoming indivisible from all the other Buddhas. And then for the benefit of others, you will manifest the two Rupakayas, the form emanations of the Nirmanakayas and Sambhogakayas, for as long as samsara exists, and you will be able to protect sentient beings, being indivisible from all the other Buddhas. So then it says, when this unchanging ground is realized, the assembly of Dakinis will gather. So what that means is that then if you seize that kingdom of the unchanging ground now, then the humans, which are those with bodies, and the gods without bodies will all be there to support you, to be your to assist you in your activities, in accomplishing the benefit of beings. And then therefore it says, therefore apply yourself earnestly in the practice of the Yidam deity. So the most important, the first and foremost kingdom to be seized is that of immeasurable love. And from that immeasurable compassion arises. So you're seizing the kingdom of the relative bodhicitta, just like a king is protecting his subjects. And then as a result of that, you will seize the kingdom of the ultimate bodhicitta. You realize the ultimate bodhicitta, which is you attain the ultimate state of awakening.
Sangha la gombandi la rompa dharma di sona nansi la kur kovar ki sangha ki na puzun chote se nang nu ju tamji 이제 다과래 다과 시바 되더니 무보던 제말 딱히 대접 많이 봐. 좀 왔다. 운에서 요 말했어. 내가 로버는 나와. 나파 좀 왔다. 맞아. 요 말했지. 대 통화도 다좀 무보던 치만 진요 말했지. 다송 다 남지. 대송 그래. 대고 대서 갖고 요리 운에서 강리 저 탐치 집하고 선거들이 뒤죽걸로 같이 송아 디나는 세낭 인성스 사티중 콜론들이 릉지르라 니다 됐다 했더니 적지 감 동자 차차만 보여리 장미봐 요리 난 뒤중 콜로 강리 가사 찍 통감진피들 적지나 대지 카카리를 찍그레스 송어당스 오 장미발에서는 고박그레스 이 찍을 따뜻했다 못한다더니 나그 속함들 찍바 찍장 나벌리가 사강들랑 걸 리대 찍바 찍장 사강 차 마보는 오 찍바 찍장 차대요 그래서 낭두지 콜로들 오 로직 도마 로직 도마 오 사강 차만 보지 띵강 장을 봐는 랑을 리대 찍바리 도마 로직 제 하고를 들이랑 펑펑 깨지를 딱지 땅했더니 뒤에 하고서나 뒤에 민송하더니 인도 좀 홀로돼 뒤에 lok지 좋으시람 초가들 놓고시람 장미 봐 차용을 대사통자 승다외 차지 당차와 대다가들이 미나 대다와 차용을 사투 좀 홀로돼 랑을 늘락 창화하고 랑을 늘락 창나 오 대상속서 민송나 이도 좀 홀로도 양들이 사직과 성신 강타움이 봐. 잘고 하고는들이 좌냐들이 이제 상하냐미 드린 것도 뒤도다 하고는 들이 따상하 동안 하고 요래 선한 인성성 선한 인성 때서 골라오 소소를 때에 이들을 쏘는 거 살성아
So in general now for the practice of the secret mantra, the deity yoga of the secret mantra, Jigong Kagyu Master Dhammaratsa had said that when you realize that everything that appears and exists is the divine form of the deity, then you have perfected the development stage of the secret mantra. And so that means that we have to recognize that everything that appears and exists, the entire universe and all beings are by nature pure. And when you understand that, then you will let go of the fixation, this belief in their concrete or substantial existence, and you will not label them with characteristics. You will not believe that they possess any true, stable existence from their own side. But you will see them just like an illusion, an illusory appearance. You will not think that they really inherently exist as entities. All of these appearances are just temporary, like clouds in the sky. And when the fixation to their true existence becomes purified, then there is no more belief in their true substantial existence. And a pure perception naturally arises. So speaking of it in those terms is maybe a little bit difficult to understand. There's one teaching I came across by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, a teaching on the color chakra, that I found very beneficial to understand this point. And so here His Holiness explained the color chakra in terms of its outer, inner, and other aspects. So the outer color chakra, that refers to the outer universe with the 4 continents and Mount Meru in the center. And then there is limitless, there's hundreds and thousands and an endless number of such universes. And so that's the outer color chakra. The inner color chakra is to realize then how all of that relates to one person, to oneself, one's own aggregates, sense sources, and elements. So one reflects then, am I as a person, as a being, separate from the universe, or am I one with the universe? And so it may seem that this universe is just endless. There is so much, so many universes, so many world systems. But then even though there are so many, actually in essence they are the same as your own body. There is no difference at all between the universe and your own body. So the body in this sense becomes the microcosm of the outer universe. The outer universe is like a reflection of it. So even though it seems that there are millions of different world systems, they all are the same. So that's the inner color chakra. In the inner color chakra, we learn that a diversity has a single taste. So even though you have tens and thousands of world systems, they are the same as your own body. There is no difference. And so that you know when you look at your own aggregates, your elements, your sense sources. And so then once you understand that, and then when you understand that that they can ripen, when they ripen, when your body and mind ripen, you ripen into this third aspect that is called the other color chakra. Now, when your aggregate sense sources and elements ripen, they ripen into the limitless pure lands of the Sambhogakayas and also the Dharmakaya, that appear like a rainbow in the sky, clear and empty, and devoid of the two extremes. So this is what one ripens into ultimately, and that's the other color chakra. And the way in which one really ripens is with bodhicitta. With bodhicitta, one ripens into the other aspect of color chakra, and that is then the myriad appearances of the pure lands, the pure fields of the Buddha's 3 kayas. And so to myself, I found that thinking of it in this way makes the meaning of the Vajrayana maybe a bit easier to understand. And this kind of understanding really is the starting point of Vajrayana practice. So to understand it in terms of the outer, inner, and other, it seems to be again easy to understand in a way starting point for the practice of the secret mantra.
오, 대책 빠져 꼭빠에 상고요. 제발 욕상이 돼. 문에 제발 가이게 제소. 다 하고 그런 말이야. 제발 욕 제발. 직진수 우송티 람스 쥐는 거. 짐리 계획 사브라서 그래서 샘그지오레. 다 진진을 로라티니 다 총대 다 담로 총대 담로래. 대르진이 쏘놈 총대로 쏘놈 그 최종을 내서. 오, 대라 다 직발이 상미가 하고요. 쌈무 직발에서 대완도 봐 직발에서 능에만 누가 직발에서. 내가 제대로 직발 샘 직발이 하거나 난 이제 샘대 직발에서. 야, 니몽동아 직발이 세당 직발도 차 직발. 니몽동아 직발에서. 몇개 배사서 그 사소도서 님 말이 같이 직발에서 되게 되랑 하고 다 저기 봤더니 다 좀 돼. 통신체 보이고 오. 다 따라랑 그 저들은 다 기지로 상아 당도 없이. 오, 지비들 대해서 훌훌차도 때 하고는 대화시 받이 지비는 싸워 하고는 대르진 다래 좀 이렇게 더 하고 그래. 그래 고바자로 적발에 빼는 잠버린 사강충보다 롱칸도 여기서 고바자는 롱칸도 그래. 다른 남들도 저거 통치 롱세리 섭도 삼어서 로직 토마토 로직을 토마 샘제적 사지생기 니쳐도 야 로직 토마로직도 사지생기 샘내로 하고도 참아 찍찍 뛰어 동반이 차는 됐다고 그런 싸모 땅 다치도 시합 요래 등상 뒤고는 싸모 땅 편수 돌아냐 보지 들이상하 공대다다 대기 정보를 상신선 뒤고는 저소나니 돌은 제고에서 애들이 다다치는 참요.
So that's really a point that we have to think about very carefully. For example, when you look at a very small insect like an ant, so then here what you analyze is that is the ant and myself, a human being, the same or are we different? So you might think that if you say we are the same, that's a really stupid thing to say because clearly we are different. And if you think we are different, in a sense we are different, but then are we really different? Actually, the difference, the perceived difference here is a difference that comes about due to a difference in the causes that were being created. And so here again, we should remember the words of Lord Jigten Sumgön, that karma, like cause and effect, is the ripening, the momentary ripening of one's inner thought. So even though there is a difference in physical appearance, and we have to look at the mind. When the mind is clinging to a self, the more we cling to ourself, the smaller we get. It is like becoming like contracted. We become contracted by this concept of a self. And the more we cling to this concept, the more contracted or smaller and smaller we get. And this contraction also is the same as contraction of one's merit. Merit becomes smaller and smaller. So basically the difference is one of merit. But the mind is really the same. What we want is the same. We want to be happy. We don't want to suffer. And what we do essentially also is the same. So when you understand that the mind, the basis of the mind within is really the same, you understand that the poisons, the 5 afflictive emotions are the same. Our anger is the same. Our desire is the same. What we do really essentially is the same. As human beings, we are accumulating money. The ant is accumulating earth and sticks and things like that. But we are accumulating things. We are working very hard and busily. So when you really think about it in terms of causes, then your regard for karma will become much more powerful. You will consider it with much greater care. So even right now, we can actually see how the mind becomes contracted. It narrows down further and further the more selfish we are. The more we think about me, ourselves, the more the mind becomes contracted. And the moment you care about others, you can really feel the release already and how relaxed the mind becomes. So even the slightest feeling of well-being like that, we can really see how it comes from altruism. And if you see that, you really understand karma in its essence. And for example, how we can also understand that everything is of the same nature. This planet, Earth, for example, is moving through space. It is moving. It's like a wind energy that is moving through space. And actually, that's the same thing that happens when we are walking around. We are this like body, this like a celestial body, moving through wind energy through space, like driven by wind energy moving through space. And nowadays also an airplane, that's what it is doing. It is also actually a quality of wind energy moving through space. So then we apply that to that concept we mentioned before. One taste appears as diversity, and diversity has one taste. So one taste here means that there is one basis of mind, and from that basis of mind, Buddhas and sentient beings all arise. So one basis manifests as a diversity. But then diversity has one taste, that is, even though there is this great diversity of appearances, it all comes down or arises from this one essential nature, that one mind, and that mind itself is empty. And so nowadays, all of you have a much greater degree of capacity of intelligence, so it's something that we can really understand. And you should really reflect upon this point and also discuss that with each other. That point on the essence of the secret mantra is really very important. So we understand the secret mantra in terms of its outer, inner, and other aspects. And that is something that you should really discuss with each other. So now then for this morning, we stop with the teachings.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Thank you. Odarama.